Hello, Scrappy friends. Scrappy Kathy here with the beginning of my reboot of the Organize It series. I'm standing right now in the doorway between the hallway that's at the where the stairs, I live in the basement of my son's home, so these are the stairs coming down, and I'm standing in the bedroom. The bedroom has some crafting supply storage, but not much. And so I'm not going to show it, and I'm not going to show the closet in the bathroom that has some old stuff that really kind of needs to be looked at. But I'm going to start here because let's see, I'm going to try to get my finger there. Okay, this cabinet here, the Expedite cabinet, contains albums, and the two black and white albums you see here stacked on top of the Project Life boxes are extras that don't fit in there. What these albums are the kind of the start of my 12 by 12 scrapping in 2011, and there's Project Life stuff starting about 2013, and then it kind of goes up, and those last two black and white ones, which you're not seeing my finger, those two are the last of the 2021 books. And if an album has its the year on it, those are for photos taken that year and scrapped that year. And I give myself usually about a month's grace, so that if I scrap something in January that took place in December, I go ahead and put it in the previous year's book. So this is going to have to be reorganized, or I'll have to add another cabinet, and I'll take you into the workshop area next. And none of this is like top priority stuff that's driving me crazy now kind of stuff, but it's kind of a quick fix. I can move albums around, so I'll kind of show you what I want to do. But first, this is a closet that I did reorganize the last time I did the series, and for the most part it has served its purpose, although this area down here is a bunch of stuff that probably needs to go elsewhere. Again, it's okay where it is right now. It doesn't contain anything that I really need to try to find or need to access quickly. In this area right here, this kind of represents the stamps that I've gotten recently. And I can't even explain why they're there and not stored in those kinds of books with the clamshells, because I have some extra ones over there in that folder. And I'm going to say that at this moment, I'm probably going to attempt something of a division between mixed media stamps and stamps that I might use on cards. There's not a clear division. I use both types of stamps for both types of things, and to be honest, I haven't made cards in 3 years, but I would like to start again. I kind of had some excuses that I no longer have. So this closet used to be a coat closet. I added shelves and painted it and added paint splats from IKEA, and all of this used to be heavily accessed when I was doing cards. Again, not so much now, but I do access those stamps, and I need to kind of really fix up the books and arrange them. But again, not a huge high priority, other than there are some frequently used stamps that I might want to have a little closer to my work desk. And those would probably include all of these unbelievably incredible visible image stamps. So now I'm going to come, this is the office area, which is where all my scrapping used to be done, just on this little corner of this table, which is why all the papers are still here. And now I'm way down at the end of that area. And so I have to come here to get papers, but I'll explain to you why that's not a problem. You'll see that in a minute. So I'm going to turn the corner, and this, I think I had explained this before, but this green desktop used to be our kitchen island in our previous home, but we didn't think it would sell as well with a bright lime green stone island in it. So we dismantled it and brought the IKEA cabinets and took the legs off of them and made a double-sided desk where we could both have our computers and printers and stuff like that. And I haven't dismantled this side of the desk, and I don't intend to anytime soon. So in here is the room that got the brunt of all the water coming in. The water came in from the wheelchair ramp that's just on the other side of that door. So all of this was completely torn apart, as was this wall and this whole area here, when we had water intrusion and all the drying and the mold remediation and all that stuff. So I'm beginning to kind of put it back together, although as you can see, I haven't put everything back on the walls. Those are things that are down here. And then those other two boxes are things I'm going to take to Goodwill. And I've put the beach towels used to hang over here up kind of high, and I wasn't able to easily hang them up or take them down. So I've kind of got my little going to the beach area right here with my hats and so forth. But what I wanted to show you is I have this workbench that was John's workspace, and he built all those cabinets that you see. He put all those together on this workbench, and it's filled with tools and all kinds of things that I will never use, that it would be really dangerous for me to use. And so I'm probably going to at some point empty it and either fill it with craft stuff or sell it or use it and barter it for some handyman work, and you know, give it to who does the work, and put another expedite cabinet in here, maybe a double one that will hold more albums, because I'm running out of space to hold albums. So this cabinet right here is an expedite cabinet. I'm saying expedite because that's what they were when I bought them. They're now called Kallax units at IKEA. John's favorite color was bright, in-your-face stop sign yellow. And so he came up with the idea to paint this black one yellow. And as you can see, there's some little spots where the black's showing through. But you know, that'll soon be covered up with albums. And we put fancy feet on it, and just, I put it in here. At one time it held gardening supplies. That was kind of what it was for. Right now it holds all the albums. Those are all Ava albums, except the ones up on top are albums that, before I was actually a scrapbooker, they are albums containing photos and ephemera from our travels when we lived in Brussels. And their original photos are glued down in these pages that are not movable. So I have a project in mind where I'll go through and scan some of those photos and remove some of the ephemera and do actual scrapbook pages. But for now, they're just up there, and they're safe, they're acid-free, and everything's well preserved, and they're fun to look at just as they are. But I kind of also want to create some scrapbook pages from some of that and tell some of those stories, because it doesn't tell much of a story. This little junk corner back in here is going to have another IKEA cabinet. It's not wide enough for a Kallax, but there are some glass ones that I may use. In the meantime, it's a storage for boxes I may need to pack things in, and some outdoor lighting. So those, I think this yellow cabinet right here and the extra one will be, and anything I might put here, will be good for the albums of the year, you know, and then I'll move Ava's over into, you'll see how I have others arranged, where I have a set of books for the kids, and I've numbered them, and I have something of an indexing program in mind, or project in mind, where I'll go through and I'll try to correlate my electronic digital storage of pages. You know, I take photo. I will not say that I have taken photos of every page I've produced, particularly not Project Life pages and some of the older pages. I've done some of those, some of my favorite ones, because it used to be very expensive to get those scanned at archivers. But to the extent that I can, I will try to have a system to say, remember that page I did about such and such, of the picture, the page I did about the girls sitting with the pumpkins at the pizza place. So I hope that I can go into the electronic version, put some keywords like pumpkin, pizza, Halloween, girls, you know, something like that. I mean, that's kind of oversimplified. And then I could bring it up, and one of the pieces of metadata that would be included behind that photo would be which album it would be in. Kids album number 14, for example. So as you can see, I have 17, 18, 19 albums that are just Ava, and then 2 down at the bottom that chronicle her 2019, the year that she was that she fought and won the battle with cancer. So I'm going to turn that light out, and we're going to walk back in here, and you can you can see this used to be my creating room, because I put create up there, and that A literally, quite literally, fell, and I kind of liked it where it was, so I left it there. And then we come out here. This is this was meant to be a bar, an eating bar, attached to the kitchen. And it is attached to the kitchen, but it's not an eating bar. Most of these cabinets used to have drawers or shelves in them, and I stored all my supplies here. And I store my supplies now somewhere else, and this is album storage. So I've taken all those accessories out, and they're kind of stacked up in different places. But I've got, I did a write-up at one time about my albums, and I arrange my albums, or I populate my albums according to what I call life stages. And I have, like, the Kathy years were the years when I was just Kathy. I wasn't married. I didn't have any kids. And so there's everything, and it's not in chronological order. The pages are not. There are some Project Life pages that have, like baby pictures, there's school pictures, anything that was me before I was Mrs. Anybody or Mom. And then I have an album of pages that I'm converting from a scrapbook I did when I spent the summer in Japan in 1967. And I stored it all in a a non-acid-free scrapbook where everything was deteriorating. So I'm slowly and painstakingly, and about 3 or 4 a month, I restore photos and get them ready to actually produce real pages. Then I have the John years, which are some photos I have from John's mother's scrapbooks. And we kind of had a project in mind where he and I were going to sit down and we'd go through his mom's scrapbooks, and he would talk about any stories that were brought to mind. Some of the pages, one page might be just her and her friends playing bridge, and then the next page would be some really cool. It would have a really cool photo of John when he was a kid, and then another picture of playing golf with some friends. And so it wasn't organized. Even the same theme didn't carry through on a single page. So we kind of did about, I don't know, an hour or so of that and kind of lost interest. And I hate that we lost interest, because now I'm going to have to go through and pull anything that I think that tells me a little bit of the story of John. And I have a story of John project in mind, kind of in the back of my head, one of these days. Then we went to the these Kathy years kind of also include. I then go to the T-Boy years, which was before John, when James and I it was just the two of us for 6 years after I divorced his dad and before I married John. And in here, if there are pictures with his dad, they'll be in here because those are important, I think, to James. Then there's the three of us, 1981 to 1992, when it was just the three of us, our little family, all living under the same roof. Then I have the empty nest years, which is after he went into the service and went away. Then I have the Granny and Grumpy years, which were when we had our first grandkid. And I can see that the T-Boy years and the Granny and Grumpy, these have somehow gotten out of order. And I'm going to tell you that I know that that's because all of this was taken apart and tossed around and then put back together by someone who wasn't me because of all the water. The water got in from that outside door all the way over to this, and all of that was wet down at the bottom. So we pulled everything out, turned it upside down or on its side, and put it in with the dryers, and there's no warping, and everything was dry, and there was no mold, or they treated the mold with a spray. And then I was able to put all this stuff back together. So anyway, you can kind of get an idea. And these, as I add, like for example, I have a spot here. So these are miscellaneous James, and these are generally the story of an adult James, whereas the T-Boy years are the story of the kid. This is miscellaneous pets, and then I have a special book just for Reese because we are taking 1,000 pictures of her a day. There's a set of books on baseball road trips, and then the Kokomo tour that we took to spread John's ashes in some of his favorite places. If I do another book, I've got this old postbound book. I may add some baseball road trip. If I scrap any more about the baseball road trips, I'm clearly going to run out of room and I'll have to reshuffle. But to be honest, reshuffling and kind of reorganizing this and looking at things and putting them in order, I kind of like that. I kind of enjoy that. And look, more markers and more pens. And who needs this many paper drinking straws for pages? They're wonderful on pages, but why do I have so many? So now I'm going to go and just kind of quickly, Up there, I'm hanging my thickers, and you can see I have thickers to hang. That's going to get done, I think, before the next video. I have a giant, totally unnecessary giant Mac here because it's old and it's the only kind of computer that can communicate with that old scanner, and that old scanner is an amazing scanner. And that is the newer wide format printer that I bought when my other one was broken. And then the lady that I took the other one to, I was actually going to give it to her for parts. She actually fixed it, so I now have 2 wide format printers. And this one has a paper tray for like just typing paper. So I print anything on typing paper there. I don't like the, I don't know, there's a lot about it that I don't like, but it does print good photos. So I like the flexibility. If I run out of ink in one, I've got the other. It seems like an indulgence, but I really thought I needed one. This cabinet has a lot of things that I don't need to be as close to as I once was, and the labels are all wrong, and one of these days I'll do something about that. But until then, I know that all my glitter is in that top drawer, and all my little pointy ink pads are, and my glitter glue stickles are, you know, in that second drawer. And then 8.5 by 11 paper for card making there, you know, just some stuff. Nothing, like I said, nothing that I really need to access immediately. Another thing that's probably not going to change right away is this is paper storage for paper that doesn't belong with any designer collections or anything like that. It's tail ends of kits, you know, paper I had before I knew what a designer was, solid color cardstock. These are specialty papers, like I've got foil and glitter and chalk stock and acrylic overlays or acetate overlays, shaped papers, and then some specialty stuff and canvas. This is a box right here that I do access, let's see, fairly often. It has animal prints, maps, things like that, and it's I access that when a challenge, I know exactly where to go when a challenge says use a map, you know, for example. So I pull from here when I'm doing, you know, something that doesn't require a kit. I had 2 sheets of this. I've used some of it recently. It's not my favorite color combination, but I've got this little page of gears that can be fussy cut, for example. And I've even got some scans of, this is not a pattern paper, but a scan of a blouse I used to own. And I love it, and it could be used as a pattern paper, and I'm going to try to use it on a layout sometime. But this cabinet contains a lot of mini books and the kids' baby books and things I made with my whatever it is that does these things. It's in the other closet there, and then I have some small books there. I don't like these being right there. They're not particularly attractively displayed, so I've thought about doing some other type of display, maybe in the workshop, where I would each week maybe pull out one and display it, you know, the cover of it. This is a book, for example. I used my Cricut at the time to do a bunch of wall decorations that said happy birthday Katie for let me see, what birthday was it, her 11th birthday. And so I have all these things, and I decided to make pages out of them and include some photographs and just and bind it in this with my little bookbinding tool. And to be honest, I kind of forgot that I ever did this. And so I would like every once in a while to maybe have that displayed like this, and then maybe Katie would stop and look at it, sometime. So I'm just going to leave that right there for now, and I'll put it back later. But that's an example. Well, actually, I'm going to go ahead and put it back because the little place is nice and empty there. So this is an area that I will probably store albums at some point, and I apologize for how goofy the camera is. And other things that are not going to change, this is how I store my punches, and they've been that way for years, and I know exactly where to go to get them. I've collected some, a while back, many years back, I removed all of my rubber stamps from the blocks and put them in those clamshells because I like using rubber stamps unmounted. I'd rather mount them on an acrylic holder if I'm going to do that, or just kind of hold them bent and kind of do them unevenly for mixed media. But I've managed to pick up a few, and I just kind of stuck them up there because I didn't have any other place. These 3 boxes contain the small alphas and word strips, and all 3 are full, and some of them are not in very good shape. So I may go through those and toss some of the stuff that's probably not good to be used ever again. But I think they will always, that's where everything will go. These are my thickers that are either black or white, or black and white. They're the colored ones are the ones that are up on the wall, and I have a bunch that need to be hung up. And then as we go down here, there's some more classifications of papers kind of in here. These are framed layouts that are about John, and I'm going to they're going to end up on that wall, that blank wall that I'm showing you now. But I am too old and unsteady to get up and hang those up myself. So I have actually bought some tape that's supposed to work, and I think I can manage drawing some pencil level lines, and then I think I can hang them up with the tape, but we'll see. I'm not gonna do anything that where I'll risk, falling and hurting myself. And I'm also probably not willing to pay somebody to do that for me. And so it'll go a while until I get to the point where I ask somebody to help. So that's just kind of how things work. And these little goofy things on the wall, when we had a contractor in to put up actually those shelf units. And when he tried putting them up, he put them unevenly and just made a mess and left holes in the wall. And I actually left some of the screws in the wall because I'm going to pull those out. And at the time, I just used scrapbook supplies to kind of cover the holes in the wall. And I had bought Ava a whole bunch of cupcake shaped things, and she used her own embellishments to decorate them. And at one time I had about 5 or 6 of them, but I asked her to pick a favorite. She picked that one, and then I made a scrapbook out of the others. This is the cover from a photo album that I had. That the photo album was terrible in that it deteriorated a lot of James's early photos. So I bought this in the 70s, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Cliben cats, but they were all the rage. I had a set of bed sheets that had this pattern, and this just brings me back to the 70s, and it's all I saved of that scrapbook album. I actually fussy cut the cover out and thought I'd put it on the wall to cover some of the holes. And then, you know, flowers. These flowers were cut with punched out of one of my favorite like collections of pattern paper, and then I labeled it the ultimate craft room. And I cut this out with my Cricut. It's probably the first thing I cut out with my brand new Cricut back in the day. And then I have these two, I think I've shown you these before. I've had these two clipboards that will hold 12 by 12s. And I put up, after I do my layout shares, I pick my 2 favorite layouts from that layout share, and I put them up here. So that's the Mixed Media Frenzy one of John, and that's a Scrap Backwards one of Reese. And then those photos, those are actual scrapbook pages framed that I did for each kid, and all the stuff on them represent information about the kid. There are drawings and paintings that the kid did. That's Ava in the green, that's Barrett in the orange, Katie in the aqua, and Allie in the yellow. And those have been up there since about 2012. I think that's the vintage of those photos that are on there. And then we get to some more album storage. I'm going to step up into the kitchen right now, and I don't want you to see me in the mirror there because I'm not really not really dressed up, and I let my hair dry frizzy, and so I just pulled it back in a bow. But you can see here I've got that. Well, for one thing, that mirror, and I'm going to show it to you quickly, is huge. And John and I had this project where we were going to cover it with shells. And so there's some of the shells there that we're probably going to use. And we kind of got busy with other stuff and never got around to it. So I'm going to do that myself. And I think I'm going to do it. I've talked with Scrappy Adam about this. And he's kind of a handy guy. And he thinks that if I kind of tape behind it and tape on the mirror part, I can probably put a primer on that dark brown and then start using my glue gun to glue shells on. And I can start at the bottom and kind of get my sea legs and kind of figure out how easily they're going to go on, and then I can work my way up. But what I'm really wanting to tell you here, the album storage, I've got kind of organized by kid. This area is miscellaneous B, and then miscellaneous Katie, and miscellaneous family, and then miscellaneous kids, and then miscellaneous Allie, and then the extension for B. I'm going to run out of these at some point, and so that's when I'll probably expand over to that one that has the mini books in it. But what I do is, if I took a picture in 2021 and scrapped it in 2021, no matter what it was, whether it was kids, a mixture of kids, or just about Barrett, or just about Ava, or whatever, it goes in the 2021 book. if I go back and scrap some older pictures of just Barrett, where he's the only one in the photo, and the story is about him, it goes in the miscellaneous B book set of books. Family is one or more adults with the kids. Kids is a mixture of kids. It's not just one kid, but, you know, several. And so that's kind of how that gets divided. I've got another set of books over here that are miscellaneous. Something fell off that. Miscellaneous Us. And those are of pages about the story of me and John that don't have anything to do with traveling. And these down here are that from that white one right there all the way over are titled Oh the Places, and those are pages about our travels. These over to the right are called Bali High 1 and 2. That's our South Pacific cruise. And I've got one in here somewhere that's our life in, like we had a home in Belgium. So that's kind of stuff there. Miscellaneous stuff, pictures of old t-shirts that we've gotten rid of, but I wanted to tell the stories of the 5Ks we ran. Better Homes and Gardens, those are just garden photos and you know, flowers we've grown, just gardens and pools at homes that we've done. So that's kind of how my categories are named. I think I've listed all of those categories before, but I may do them again just for my own purposes. This unit right here, when I'm sure that I'm finished scrapping Christmas stuff, that's all Christmas. It's I've got a drawer full of stamps and dies that are Christmas related, some like a crazy tray of ephemera, and then there's some sheets of thickers, and then I've got scraps, and gosh, there's a sticker sheet that I could have used in, actually that's not a sticker sheet, it's a just punch out die cut sheet that I could have used in last month's Scrap Backwards. It would have gone with the kit I had. Nothing there. Now we get into kind of where it all happens. And some people might call this the dining room and living room. I call it the craft room in which I watch TV and eat. This table is the one that I have always filmed my videos on. And it was a pain because I had to disassemble everything and then serve dinner and then put it all back together the next day. So I have moved now over to here. And oh, by the way, you may have noticed that's a tree. The tree is still here. The tree used to be over there at the end, over there by that door. And that door, there are two doors there. The first door the one that you see, was the front door to our previous house, and it has a Texas Lone Star in the glass. And we wanted that door, but it wasn't the right size, and I have no idea. No one was able to figure out how to get it installed. So I just set it up there. There's another door that came with the house that I painted a nice dark blue color. And I just set this one in front of it, and the light kind of shines through, and it makes it really, for nice privacy, because you've got double layers of kind of patterned glass. And that storage unit thing that holds all of my craft supplies that need to be handy, that used to be right there where there's just my other printer now. And I used to sit on the corner where my laptop is sitting there in the chair that you see there, and I could reach everything there. So I just kind of moved it over here. This table had my Christmas Village on it. It was out on the deck at one time, and I've brought it inside so that I could have, originally, so that I could have a dedicated, always up, always ready gel printing station, and I could have my sewing machine up and connected. So what I've done is all the stuff that was over here has moved over here, and it's a mess. And that's the part that I'm going to concentrate on this week. So that's the part that you'll see the after of on Wednesday, I think it is. So usually I will do the before on Saturday. I'll film it on Saturday. I'll work over the weekend and on Monday and Tuesday, and then I'll do an after video on Wednesday. And I'm going to try to do that for as many weeks as I can keep up with it. And I may not get all of the organizing I set out to do done every week, but this is just kind of an example of the area that I will be concentrating on, and I'll show you in a minute. But first I want to kind of show a couple other little areas. In my last Organize It series, I brought this workbench in from the workshop and set it up as a cutting station. And I have all my dies, whether they're the big, thick dies or the little thinner dies that are on these magnetic sheets. And I've got some of them in here. These are my most frequently used dies, and some of my newer ones from like these Bramble Fox dies that I love. And then these are some of the older ones, but I know which ones are in here, and I go to this at least once a week. I kind of, go through that. And I also, in my last Organize It series, I cataloged, divided up, and did this storage for my stencils. And as you can see, as I've used stencils for the last, I want to say, couple of months, I've just kind of stacked them right here and haven't hung them back up. So hanging the stencils back up, another part of the project. This up here, just kind of little keepsakey things. This is a fan that was made by Dietrich Kessel, who, if you've seen a recent page I did, you know that she lost her battle with COVID last year, and that was just a little gift that she had made for one of the Scrap Happy reunions. The cross-stitch penguin was made for me by my dear friend Helen Parker, and she also gave me the Beatles photo. The avocado purse was from Liz Ketter, and this was made by Melly Art. If you see that, Sarah Scrap's sister, who made those for a retreat that we went to. So I just have kind of little things, and a lot of that stuff up there is also Ava's, and so I like it, and it looks kind of tacky at times, and I clearly need to change out and or clean the windows, but I like having that display, and I never close those curtains. And down below the dies and stuff, this thing right here, it kind of has adhesives, and I hope to use all that stuff up and get down to where I can store my adhesives. A lot of those adhesives were ill-advised purchases, I will say, but I'm determined to use them because I paid for them. Down there are boxes with embellishments that can be categorized. Like, for example, in here, I've got, let's see, I guess it would help if they were right side up. Bugs and bees, snails and fish, envelopes, fiber balls, stringy scraps, hearts, So if I'm playing Calvin Ball or there's a challenge that needs hearts and I maybe don't, hearts are kind of a bad example because there are hearts in every collection and I have punches and dies that will cut hearts, but I've got hearts that are kind of orphan, that don't belong anywhere else. I can just pull from that collection and do a heart sneeze on my page with hearts of all different shapes and colors and from a million different collections. Over here, this is again something that that got set up here when all the water came in, and all of this stuff may end up moving someplace else. But right now, this has kind of sticker sheets and miscellaneous things that don't necessarily go with collections or things I picked up at the dollar store, stuff like that. And about half of it is worth keeping, and the other half can kind of be redistributed. All of my Vicky Bouton stencils and stamps and dies are there, along with something else that doesn't belong. Things I'm going to scrap, kind of keepsake things. And then I've got a washi tape tower that is kind of arranged by color. And the washi tape that didn't fit in there, I've got metallics and little tiny skinny washi tape up in here. And then the kind that came from washi tape exchanges, where it came on playing cards, that's all here. This whole thing is filled with Bramble Fox, and some of it's kind of been taken apart. I somewhat arranged it. This is seasonal. For example, I've got Christmassy stuff that came in the Advent calendar, and then I've got the fall, Thanksgiving and Halloween things there. That's not my ideal arrangement, for that. This printer area, those boxes contain a lot of junk I'm keeping for mixed media projects, and it needs to be stored differently. I waver between I want to get that stuff out of sight and I want to keep it handy, like wax paper, spongy things. There's tissue paper, which I use for mixed media and other projects, and I also use it to wrap gifts. And then there's a bit of a bamboo fence that I like using the bamboo to make impressions in mixed media. There's printer paper. All of that will be rearranged as part of this next week's project. Let's see, coming back over here. This is another one of those stands like the one that had my Christmas supplies that has mixed media supplies, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say these are maybe my least used mixed media supplies, except for this container of paintbrushes. And what I need to do is pull the things, like I don't use these pan pastels, but I should. I'd love to. I paid a lot for them for a Donna Downey class, and I bought and paid for and stored the Donna Downey class. Haven't ever sat down and done the projects. So, it's what we do, I guess. This is all my ribbon, and there's some various corner type punches, things I don't use very often, and my Mink machine and all the supplies that go with it, which I haven't had very good luck with, and I don't know if it's me or the Mink machine, but I kind of just hide that away in a pretty basket and don't use it. This cabinet has all my sewing supplies and all my Vicky Bouton mixed media stuff, and right now my gel plate is attached, not attached, but it's kind of sitting on this glass mat. And all I have to do is pull the glass mat over to my regular scrapping space, and then I'm in business for gel printing. And that's one of these days, it may end up being right here in this middle area. But right now, the middle area is covered with junk that needs to be redistributed. My 60 space holder for distress oxides, because, you know, that's all there were when I bought the holder, used to be up at the top of that. But it was kind of hard reaching for it, so I was happy to be able to put them on the table and leave them there. I've got these storage towers, and these are my most often used. These, I have a million spray inks. These Diane Reevely Dilutions are the ones I use the most, and the Heidi Swap Color Shine that have mostly come in Mind the Scrap kits, but which I love. And then I've also got some Pink Fresh watercolor, liquid watercolors, and a few shimmers products. And then these are all my Nuvo drops and my crayons, Distress crayons and Vicky Boutin crayons. And then these are Neocolor Aquarelle, which have a narrower point and are good for coloring and watercoloring cards. And then my Ken Oliver Color Burst and miscellaneous other products that just kind of were put on here because they fit, but which really go someplace else. The towers that are up here contain products that I use less often, and it also contains some of my acrylic paints that I use for jelly printing, but I've also got acrylic paints down here and probably in a dozen other places. There's some more inks there. All of this, everything in here that's on the floor and back here in this IKEA cart, all of this needs to be addressed. This is the next layout that I'm going to work on as soon as I finish filming this video. This is Scrap Backwards. That's my Scrap Backwards kit. And so I'm hoping that, and I've got a calendar here, a table calendar, so I put like my calendar stickers and pins here in hopes that I might use them. If I find I don't use them very often, I may put this over on the desk by my giant economy-sized computer. And there are, I've had a couple people ask me what the sunflowers are doing there. Sunflowers were John's absolute favorite flower. He loved them. And Ava, I think, got these, they're plastic leaves and silk flowers. She got those from some display at school and gave them to Grandpa. So those are Grandpa's, Crapa's sunflowers. And so I have them where I can see them, along with his, you can kind of see back in there, his work ID. And I need to kind of move that so that my, that's a Ken Oliver craft mat that's 24 by 36. And I need to make it so that it doesn't wrinkle. But this is a mess. The contents of these will change so that some of the stuff that I need. There's my bleeding tissue paper. In the big thing somewhere I have the little circles, but there's junk all throughout in here that is going to need to be changed. And probably the very next week's project, I'll kind of give you a little, these are my little IKEA things that hold, I'm going to say collections. Just this is, for example, all of my the partial collections of Cocoa Vanilla papers and embellishments. This is Warm Wishes and from Vicki Boutin, and this is Color Study without the papers, because the Color Study papers are down there because I have way too many Color Study papers. But I also, I like mixing Color Study and Let's Wander, so I have some Let's Wander stuff that I managed to pick up on a discount site. And then this is Paige Evans. It's her latest collection, and it's you couldn't tell it, you know, but I have used a lot of it. But when she releases her collections, I'm on her email list, and I buy the entire thing, everything that was made in it. And then I also pick up stuff at Joann's when it comes out. This is a bunch of miscellaneous stuff that contains all my Rosie's studio goodies and some Obed Marshall and some other things that are specialty collections that are held in these, and I need to do a better job of organizing that. This is all the stuff that's kind of the vintagey, beachy sort of stuff. And so I have things from Simple Stories and a lot of older stuff. I have newer things and older things in there. This is the Bright Summary, and this goes way back and has some current stuff. And this is a bunch of travel stuff that I haven't really gone through. This is a bag of stuff I need to scrapbook. Those are that's keepsakes and photos, and these are Project Life pages that are in this bag, and there's some more stuff to scrapbook there. So all of that needs attention. That's my scrap container, and it used to be very neatly organized by color and size. These are drawers that contain these are things that I can fussy cut. I like this wrapping paper because I can fussy cut those trees and they'd be gorgeous. So that's my fussy cutting drawer. This is miscellaneous embellishments drawer, and I've got my advent calendar envelopes that Adam sent, and I can pull and reuse the envelopes, the washi tape, and the little foam icons on there. This is a box of unfinished projects that I started but have not finished. More stuff that I have to scrapbook, more stuff that I have to scrapbook. These boxes contain projects, and over here, these 3 sets have various collections. This is, for example, kid and school related things. So playgrounds and school things, boy related things, girly supplies, Disney. How is this one labeled? This is Pink Fresh. So lots and lots of older Pink Fresh stuff. And this is older Vicki Boutin stuff. This is, this one's not labeled. It used to be something else, but this is more kid-related stuff that I just didn't have room for. So I just kind of need to go through things. And then this is Maggie Holmes, and I've kind of purged a lot of my Maggie Holmes. I love the embellishments, and I have enough papers elsewhere. But in here would be the Amy Tangerines and the older Paige Evans, Jen Hadfield, some on-trend, just various things that October Afternoon, and also all of my basic gray. So like I said, it's a mess. And more inks, just tons of inks that I don't use as often as I use my Distress Oxides, but I'm happy to have them, and I do use them often enough to warrant keeping them. So that's kind of my scrappy living space, and what I'm focusing on right now is the part that bothers me on a daily basis, and the part that I really need to pay attention to. So week 1 is my filming studio, and I think I showed you this. These things that are right here, that's my lighting that's gonna go up there above this table. It's going to stretch from one end of the table to the other, so it lights up my sewing area as well as the scrapping area, my filming area. This little arm is what I put my phone in now, but I have an attachment for a webcam, and I will be getting a webcam to make it easier to stream lives and to have a better thing. But the nice thing is I don't have to move that every day, and so it stays in position as long as this stays in position, and I know where my in-frame area is on my mat. Generally, I can keep things in frame. I don't always do that. I get caught up in the moment, and I pull things down closer to me, and they'll end up like this, and so you'll just see the bottom of them. But it's it's like I said, a work in progress. We'll get there at some point. So thank you for watching. I look forward to reporting in on Wednesday, and the videos from here on out will not be anywhere near this long. The befores will concentrate just on the area I'm trying to address, and then we'll do area by area by area, and then at the end of it all, when I'm quote unquote happy with it and haven't started any new organizing projects, I will do a full craft room tour, an after craft room tour that may be this long. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'm happy. Those of you who have asked me to do this, I'm happy that you did, because it's long overdue. Bye.